أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم. Since some weeks we are discussing the topic of taqwa, and last time we had left the discussion. I may just remind that where we had left it, and then we'll go further. We've already discussed it. We had discussed metacognition. Metacognition. After cognition, we had discussed metacognition, or maybe even remind about the cognition, what it is. I may expose that slide also, and then we go further. What is cognition? Cognition, every living system, whether it is amoeba, whether it is anything which is living systems are cognitive systems. And living is a process of cognition. That is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in contrast tells us about the difference between the dead and the living, who can hear, who can listen, who can act upon the instructions of God, and who have the cognition. So cognition refers to the living systems operations, processes. And then what is metacognition? That also we had discussed. Metacognition is awareness of one's thought process. What I'm thinking, why I'm thinking. Sorry. This awareness of one's own thought process, that is metacognition, where Quran tells us that those people who have metacognition, who have connectivity with God, if anything wrong happens, they immediately feel the difference between the good and the bad. They immediately feel the difference of shuhan nafs in their nafs. Sorry. So metacognition is a step higher than the cognition. It is metacognition, where one analyzes one's own thought process also. This is the most missing thing today in our people, that we don't understand, we don't have any perception, any awareness of our own thought process. In that connection, we have now come to discuss the human personality, nafs. Quran has discussed nafs as a human persona, as a human personality, and also discussed about that what are those factors which regulate the persona, which regulate the person, which regulate the personality, which improve the personality as a human being. وَالنَّفْسٍ وَمَا سَوَّاهَا. What is that which improves, which regulates the human personality? And it is a whole subject called nafsiyat, psychology. And it is spread all over whole Quran. So what is this nafsiyat which Quran is referring to? Nafsiyat, nafs al-ammara, nafs al-lawwama, nafs al-mutmainna. This is all psychology. These are different aspects of the human personality. Quran is discussing these. So what is the subject matter of psychology? Nafsiyat. What regulates it, what controls it, what maintains it, what makes it straight. It is the scientific study of mind and behavior. It is not just the physical study of a physical material thing existing, human being as a material lump, as a physical lump, but is the difference between the matter and man is that man has a mind, and the mind has a behavior. Mind controls the behavior, and that is nafsiyat, that is the shakhsiyat, that is mind and behavior. which Quran is pointing out to regulate, to understand. So psychology is the study of mind and behavior, how it behaves, how the nafs al-ammara behaves, what the nafs al-mutmainna, how the nafs al-mutmainna behaves. It is the scientific study of human mind and its functions. What do you mean by behavior? By behavior, we mean the functions of the mind, human mind and its functions. Those functions of human mind which affect the human conduct, human behavior. This is one phrase, mind and behavior, but here I've elaborated it. In other words, what is nafsiyat? What is nafs? What is nafsim wama sawaha? It is the science of mind. It is the science of mind and behavior. The science of mind behavior studies, it is the study of mental processes, how the brain thinks, how the mind thinks. It all combines tafakkur, tadabbur, tawakkul, tazakkur. It combines all these processes. Study of mental processes. We talk of taqwa, whether he is muttaqi, I am muttaqi, but do we ever study our own mental processes? Why I am thinking of corrupt means, why I am thinking of a misconduct, why I am doing misconduct. We don't bother about it. We don't study our own mental process. We just take it for granted that I offered a nafil and I am muttaqi. It's a mental process, and its cognition of the mental processes is metacognition. Here, people think that by going for chillas, for going to the mountains, going into the jungles, leaving the society, sitting in muraqabah, that gives the connectivity with God. It's not connectivity given by these processes. It's the study of mental processes. Yahulu bain al-mar'i wa qalbihi. Allah exists before one's own mental process. Bain al-yahul, he exists, he is there, he surrounds, he is in between. Yahul bain al-mar'i wa qalbihi, in between mar'i wa qalbihi, the man and his heart, his mind, his mental process. It is the study of mental process. We think that we can become muttaqi without controlling our mental process. Science of, in other words, it is a science of personality. We have never taken this surah, وَالنَّفْسٍ وَمَا سَوَّاهَا, this ayat, وَالنَّفْسٍ وَمَا سَوَّاهَا. It's the science of personality, shakhsiyat, nafsiyat. What it includes? Includes both person and society, both. Quran is open on all these subjects. In the story of Saleh, and they're saying that وَالنَّفْسٍ وَمَا سَوَّاهَا, and ultimately coming to the discussion of the society as a whole, that not only Saleh, the Qawm, that not only one person in Saleh's Qawm who killed the camel, who violated the animal rights to water. How do we behave with animals? How do we carry luggage, burden on them? Do we care for them? The whole society was punished, not just one person. It was the question of the whole society. It was a question of culture. What is culture? Culture is the collective effect of character of individuals. Individual character of the person who killed the camel, and the all individual characters taken together of that society, which was known as Qawm of Saleh, as a society, they were all punished collectively. So when we are discussing nafsiyat, when we are discussing shakhsiyat, when we are discussing matters like nafsim mama sawaha, and when we are discussing different types of nafs, we are not discussing just one person. We are discussing the person and the society together, because Quran had ultimately to create ummatam wasatan, a society, civil society, a moderate society, civil moderate society with no extremes, a moderate society. A study of thought process, what it includes, it is basically the study of the way of thinking, how one thinks. For example, we are most of the time conscious about the ritual, mazhab. What is mazhab? Mazhab is the way one walks on the path. Sirat al-Mustaqim, path, is the road on which one walks. And mazhab is the way on which one walks. The way one, but we don't bother about the way one thinks. Walking or working on that way, on Sirat al-Mustaqim, comes after the way of thinking is set, the direction of thinking is set, the Qibla of thinking is set. The way one thinks, that in fact helps control sawa, the nafs, ma sawaha. When we understand our own way of thinking, you must have seen they take a lot of, they pass you through a lot of tests, how one thinks. Just one example. There are so many. It's a very vast subject, very technical subject, very high subject. When I appeared in the CSS examination, at the end, they, after the written examination and also after the interview, they conduct psychological tests. And psychological tests are many. At that time, there were about 30, 32 tests. One of the tests is that they expose a word or a picture or an object to you, and within a fraction of a second, you have to express yourself. For example, you see a flower, you have to say something, you have to write something. For example, one sees a flower and says fragrance. Or there are people, for example, a flower is shown and he thinks of, say, bad smell, something bad. So these are different traits of personality which become visible in that fraction of a second. If one doesn't say anything and one doesn't write it, it becomes negative. The way of thinking, this is just one example, way of thinking, unless we correct or we control, we give attention to the way we are thinking, how we are thinking when we are talking with a sister, and how we are thinking we are talking with some other lady. The way of thinking, it might change. But the nafs al-mutmainna might think, might work, might work in the similar way. Why we behave differently with mother and wife when we come to the home? Outside, we are very polite. We are very kind to the people. Even if they commit a mistake, we smilingly deal with the situation. But at home, if a wife or mother or sister or anybody in the house, if they do anything which is unpleasant or which we don't like, then how we behave? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us at many places, I'm watching you, I'm seeing you. There is ihsan. If you can't see me, I'm seeing you. You must think of that. Even the way of thinking is not a hidden matter from God. Yahulu bainal mar'i wa qalbihi. So we ignore these things when we study the ayat like وَالنَّفْسٍ مَّا سَوَّاهَا فَعَلَّمَهَا فُجُورَهَا وَتَقْوَاهَا. What is that? Way of thinking. Immediately, if we know the process of thinking, the way of thinking, we immediately know when I'm connected. Taqwa. If I'm disconnected, there's disconnectivity, my Wi-Fi has gone, fujur, there is fajr, I'll immediately know. It comes when we have an eye, we are conscious of our own way of thinking, that when I'm connected and when I'm disconnected. فَأَلْهَمْهَا فُجُورَهَا وَتَقْوَاهَا. This ilham, this process of ilham works even when one is offline. There are certain processes, there are certain softwares, there are certain features which are provided in your smartphone, in your computer, which work without connectivity. Even if there is no internet, some of the embedded, some of the already installed softwares, they continue working. So this software through which ilham works, it works even without, even offline. It tells you that now you are offline, you are fujur, there is fujur, there are fujur, or you are connected. Alhamaha fujuraha wa taqwaha. Now you are connected. But this we will note only when we ourselves know the way of our own thinking, and that is metacognition. For that, no chilla is required, no muraqabah is required. It doesn't require going to the mountains and the jungles. It requires thinking within oneself, thinking about oneself, about one's own behavior. And when we analyze that, then we will come to understand that I did this thing because I was thinking like this. I misbehaved with my wife or with my mother because I was thinking like this. I misbehaved with my husband or with my kids because I was thinking like this. Most of the relationships, human beings' relationships, are established not on the basis of understanding, are not based on the basis of correct understanding. They are based on just perception. I have a perception that my wife is not good to me. I have a perception that my husband is not good to me. Whether it is right or wrong, we don't know. It's not based on correct understanding. It is just based on perception. And what is understanding? Understanding is not that how I understand myself. Usually we tell people don't understand me. I'm not like that. In human relationships, understanding is understanding the position of the other person. Why my wife is crying? Why my mother is depressed? Why my children are depressed? Understanding their position. They may be totally wrong, but correct understanding of what is the problem with them, that helps solve the problem. But we don't think about it. We think that by understanding we mean that I understand myself. That is not understanding. In human relationship, I'm emphasizing in human relationship, understanding means the understanding the position of the other. In international parlance, discussions, dialogue, negotiations. The most important thing is the understanding of the position of the other party. And usually you must have seen during wars, when first time the parties are brought to the table for negotiation, the first statement they make, if they want to continue the negotiation, they say that in these meetings, the initial meetings, we have come to understand the position of each other. That is the starting point. Position of each other. Husband must understand the position of wife, and wife must understand the position of the husband. Without that, there cannot be harmony. What is this one nafsim mama sawaha? It is the psychology of interpersonal relationships. It is not just for sawab to read 20 times or 100 times on tasbih. وَنَفْسٍ وَمَا سَوَّاهَا وَأَلْهَمَهَا فُجُورَهَا وَتَقْوَاهَا. Repeat this ayah 20 times or 200 times. It is the study of nafs, nafsiyat, shakhsiyat, personality, which is involved in the interpersonal relationships. Husband and wife is an interpersonal relationship. We don't take it like that. It is interpersonal relationship. 14 times the phrase tilka hudud Allah is used in Quran. And all the times it is used for interpersonal relationships. And among those interpersonal relationships, the relationship between husband and wife is the focus. And all the time, in these phrases, tilka hudud Allah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells that I'm recording, I'm seeing you, I'm watching you, how you behave in the interpersonal relationship within the parameters, within hudud Allah, tilka hudud Allah. Are you violated? And then in those ayat, all the time, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds that if you violate, and when you come to me, I will take account. It is astonishing that even for a thing which we take it very lightly, for example, wife says assalamu alaikum, we don't reply. Our husband says assalamu alaikum, wife does not reply. Quran says this, kindly open Quran and see. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that I will take account of this also. That one said salam to you and you did not reply. And when you reply it in a better way. So in my counseling sessions, one of the recipes, one of the medicines, one of the prescriptions is that whatever the state of anger, fight every day, disagreement every day will continue. Yes, that will continue. Let us agree to disagree. But when we go to the bed at night, when we go to the bed, at that time, you must say Allah Hafiz to the husband, to the wife. This is the starting point. This is the sweet pill. And when you get up from the morning, in the morning from the sleep, first thing after remembering God is to say Assalamu alaikum to each other. If one does not reply, then the ayat is there. Promise of God is there that I'll take account. And in those ayat, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling that these are hudud Allah. Your interpersonal relationships are within my limits, which I have prescribed. When you come to me, I'll take account. And for this, at that time, for that account, there is a punishment. And all those punishments, which are mentioned there, clearly mentioned, azabun halimun, azabun shadidun, all those punishments are by fire, by fire. It's not just putting in a jail, in a prison, or slapping somebody, but all these punishments are by fire, interpersonal relationships. Tilka hudud Allah. Ultimately, what is this matter? This is a matter of psychology. This is a matter of nafsiyat. What is that matter which controls you at the time of anger? Yesterday was a very bad day for me. It's a day of my failure yesterday. I did a counseling. The husband and wife, the husband, particularly husband, he agreed they're not going to divorce. He will not get angry. And particularly during anger, he will not divorce. He's not going to be influenced by others. They patched up with this promise. They went home. And then he called to tell me that when I came, I lost my anger. There was an argument between us and I divorced her 3 times. This is interpersonal relationship. Management of interpersonal relationship is called psychology. Management of nafs is, regulation of nafs is defined by Quran as ma sawaha. What is that which controls or manages the nafs? Ma sawaha. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, gives a basharat, those who manage their nafs, who manage their personality, who manage their anger, they'll go to Jannah. Those who don't manage their anger, who are bad in their words and in their voice, in their sound, in their noise, in their cries, according to hadith, they will not even have the smell of or fragrance of the Jannah. How do we behave in our homes? You can analyze yourself. Husband and wives, both. Interpersonal relationships. Then what are interpersonal relationships? How? We have to analyze them and understand them. These are the ways of, these are all matters of taqwa. Taqwa is not only in sujood and ruku. We have been discussing all along. There's a long background which we have discussed in detail. It includes the ways of observation. It includes the ways of understanding each other, understanding the other party, not understanding only myself. And understanding what? The point of view about the other, about others. We are not bothered about it. We don't come out, we are so introvert that we come out of our own personality, own person, own nafs. We are all the time being controlled and driven by the nafs. Quran is not a book of psychology or book of physics, but all sciences, natural or social, physical or social, they are all spread throughout Quran. Along with natural sciences, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions social sciences. This I will not go into detail. This I'm just pointing out that counseling psychology is psychotherapy. As you give medicine to somebody as a therapy, or you prescribe certain, exercises, and you prescribe certain medicines, subscribe certain foods. Here also, it is a psychotherapy. Counseling is a matter of psychology, psychiatry, and it is psychotherapy. Alhamdulillah, luckily, it has happened more than 2 or 3 times that a psychiatrist has sent their patients for counseling to Maryam Masjid. And it is, alhamdulillah, also a matter of shukr that some Attorneys send their clients for counseling. Courts send their the litigants, particularly husband and wife, for counseling. It's different from mediation. It is psychotherapy. But if the patient thinks that he understands more, he knows more, and he thinks that what the doctor is telling is all rubbish, and he doesn't take the medicine, it will have no effect. If they come with set mind, they don't take the advice. They don't allow the psychotherapy, particularly male, particularly husbands. They don't want to come for counseling. They think, no, we know everything. We don't want to go through this process because they know the nafsiyat, they know what is that, ma sawaha. They think that they know everything. There are degrees of consciousness. All the animals in the animal world, and even among the human beings, all the human beings are not at the same level of consciousness. We will discuss this separately as a connectivity, because when we started discussing taqwa, it has different aspects. And some people who have translated it just by one word, they all the time you will find that in Quran, everywhere they've translated only by one word. For example, somebody has translated taqwa as consciousness. Throughout Quran, he has translated it as consciousness. Somebody who has translated taqwa as fear, he has translated taqwa as fear throughout the Quran. And somebody who has translated it as connectivity, as connection, he has translated it as connectivity all the time. It has different aspects and different meanings at different places. So consciousness, when we are discussing taqwa as consciousness, at present we are discussing it as taqwa, as consciousness, and within taqwa consciousness we are discussing cognition. There are different levels of consciousness. But we'll discuss this subject of connectivity separately. What is the difference? وَنَحْنُ أَقْرَبُ إِلَيْهِ مِنْ حَبْلِ الْوَرِيدِ and يَهُولُ بَيْنَ الْمَرْءِ وَقَلْبِهِ. اقترب wasjud. It is an ayat of sajda. We have to perform sajda afterwards. What is the difference in this? There's a difference of level of connectivity. We will discuss as a part of taqwa separately. So degrees of consciousness, for example, primary consciousness is given to everyone. Primary consciousness is the basic awareness which refers to the capacity for awareness of environments. Even the elephant knows its environments. Even the ant, mosquito knows its environments. This awareness of the environment depends upon the capacity which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given. It's a great gift of God. If this is not there, we will not be able to enjoy any scene, any environment, any change in weather, where we live, change of environment, with the feeling of environment, understanding of environment, awareness of environment. It is the capacity, it is the ahliyat for awareness of environments. But without ability, there's the difference between capacity and ability. This is ahliyat, and this is the power of doing something. Without ability to express and articulate what one has experienced, how I feel in the environment, how I feel on the river, on the ocean, that can regenerate knowledge. I'm on the sea, I'm in the boat, why the boat is moving, how the boat is able to move, how I'm able to swim. This is experience. If I don't express it, if I don't understand it, then all this capacity or even this ability, that is useless. That is the difference in the basic awareness or primary consciousness. When we say primary consciousness, even primary consciousness is not just consciousness as we think. It has various elements. It depends upon the capacity, ahliyat, tawfiq, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given. We had discussed the tawfiq in the beginning. The tawfiq which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given, and for that tawfiq, the ability, the features which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given, the five senses, for example, to express and articulate, like Adam alayhi salam demonstrated before the Malaika, what he had experienced, what he had seen. It regenerates knowledge. Since other animals do not have these capabilities at that level, even at the primary level, it is just a consciousness that they are aware of the environs, but they lack, in fact, the fineness of the capacity, the ability, which can give them the expression, the articulation, which can express the experiment, the experience, and that regenerates knowledge. And that was the purpose to upgrade Adam. Adam is the one who has been given all these capabilities and capacities and abilities to regenerate knowledge. Adam has been given ilm to regenerate ilm. Allahu nuru samawat wal ard. This ayat ends at saying that it is an example of ilm, that how ilm proliferates, spreads. Like a single ray going through the prism, it splits into different colors. So even at the basic level, primary consciousness, human consciousness is far, far greater than the animals. But do we realize, do we understand, do we use it? So that we can demonstrate the difference, as Adam showed the difference to the Malaika. We are dead, we are zombies. And Quran says this, that those who don't have these abilities, these capabilities, who don't use these features of the smartphone, features of the smart computer which have been given, they are dead. They are dumb. They can't see. They have eyes, but they can't see. I think with this introduction of levels of consciousness, we will go to discuss different aspects of levels of consciousness, inshallah, Allah willing, next time. If there are any questions or any observations after the dua, you can help me kindly. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzat amma yasifun wa salamun ala al-mursaleen walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Who will lead the dua? May I request Mr. Jafar, Brother Jafar?
Inshallah. جزاك الله خير. جزاك الله خير دكتور شهزاد وجزاك شهزاد. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. يا ربنا لك الحمد كما ينبغي لجلال وجهك الكريم وعظيم سلطانك. O Allah, spread your mercy upon us, shower us with your blessings, increase our knowledge, grant us your forgiveness, and reward us with the company of your Prophet in the highest place in the Firdaus al-A'la. O Allah, purify our hearts, strengthen our faith, increase our knowledge, and make us benefit from the knowledge that you have taught us. O Allah, forgive our parents, all our friends, relatives who have passed away, grant them your mercy, make their graves garden from the heaven, and grant them al-Firdaus al-A'la. O Allah, remedy us and all our friends and relatives who are sick, and grant them full and speedy recovery. O Allah, grant us the ability to be grateful for your favors which you have bestowed upon us and our parents, and that we do righteous deeds that you are pleasing to you. O Allah, guide our children, protect them, and make them righteous. O Allah, we seek from you all the good, whether we know it or we don't. And we seek your refuge from the evil, whether we know it or we don't. O Allah, we ask with every name you have elected for yourself, that none of us leave this gathering, but his pains have been relieved, his worries have been removed, his debts have been paid, his weakness have been concealed, his sins have been forgiven, and his needs have been fulfilled. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم.